Three, two, one. Got a blast. Welcome back to Steel City Screams. My name is Ashley Ray,
I'm Brenda, am I?
and today, what are we going to talk about?
We're going to talk about Late Night with the Devil.
That's a cool poster.
My friend Rob, he works at a movie theater and
Hey, Rob.
yeah, like Rob, like he's working on Never Return Rob.
Shout
And
out, Rob.
I was like, if you can get me a Late Night with the Devil poster, that would be amazing. Because I loved this film. He didn't, which like honestly crushed my soul. Um, I love this film personally. I really do. I need to turn that on silent. Sorry.
I didn't even hear it.
Okay, good.
Um, I liked it. There were a few things that bothered me as any film that I watch. I am definitely one of those people who am kind of tough about movies, which is maybe why I shouldn't even make movies because I get very annoyed by things that I'm like, if they would have just been done this, it would have been perfect. So there were a few things, but really, I really liked it. And I think it's one of the like better films that has come out in a long time, horror wise. I don't really, it's probably been one of my favorites that has come out since I don't even know when, but a while.
True, true. I feel like, I mean, with this year particularly too, a lot of the films coming out are horror, which I really love seeing. Um, it's since the strikes, it's been really weird navigating stuff, especially in Hollywood and in the unions and everything. So, with this film, though, what I thought was really interesting is I feel like they called out some things that have
Yeah,
been getting called out in Hollywood too.
yeah.
And it brought up an important message in that way. And that's something that I tip of the cap to. If that made sense in how I was phrasing it. I think that was another phrase for another thing, but I digress. Um, and so with this film, it follows a man named Jack Delroy, who is a television host, talk show host, um, in the 70s, I believe. Yeah, 70s, which I also really liked. Um, and this took place on Halloween Eve or Halloween night. I I haven't seen it in like a minute. I literally watched it the moment it
Yes,
hit theaters.
Halloween night.
Halloween night. Okay, cool, cool.
Yeah.
And um he brought on some what a lot of people would deem interesting people, and especially with the time that this took place in the film in the 70s, this was a lot of this would be where a lot of people were heavily like skeptical and afraid of people who can talk to the dead or see the dead.
The satanic panic was going on.
It was craziness. And so there was a lot of things in this film that I think they hit the nail perfectly on. As far as hit my desk, geez. As far as like with how they cast, everybody played their role, I think, very well. I love the lead. I think he did amazing. I think they used a lot of CGI, I heard and read.
That was my biggest problem with the film.
And like, okay, like I can understand that. A lot of people I also read or heard that they didn't understand the ending. I don't understand what was so hard about that personally.
Was it Was it that they didn't understand? I guess maybe because when you said that, when you told me that before I watched it, because you said that a lot of people didn't understand the ending. The thing that I was thinking maybe people didn't understand was the owl and the association with the grove and everything like that. Because I guess in case you don't know about it, maybe that, but I feel like people were confused in general. Because I know all about the Grove and that story. So because I watched it with my parents, my mom was like, "What's the owl?" And I was like, "Oh, Bohemian Grove." And she was like, "What is that?" And so I was like, "Oh, maybe that's just people don't know what that is." And but yeah, I mean, I guess I could see the ending being taken different ways. I don't know.
For me, I feel like by the end, it was like Jack has completely lost his mind. Which we'll get more into, but like he did with everything that went on in that night and the things that came out and the things that were talked about and the situations that everybody was put in and what happened. Um, I think it's just like you're taken aback because it was a twist that you didn't see coming, but he didn't realize he did what he did until he was like, oh, it's like he completely blanked out and that was the result.
Hmm.
He that girl. So like I don't know. I'm a detailed person and I'm able to pay attention to like little things and background stuff and all those things. So it's easy for me to follow that kind of stuff. So if, and also I don't know, maybe it's because we're both in the industry too, that I watch movies a little differently now compared to just the general public, if that makes sense. So
Yeah.
I analyze it more and watch it more like specifically, if that makes any sense.
No, I know because sometimes I'll watch movies and I feel like I probably like especially when I watch them like with my parents, I'll be like, there's a mistake there. And this should have been this. And I'll be like, that camera angle would have looked great like that. And they're probably just like,
Like, just watch the
leave me
damn
alone.
movie.
Yeah.
I get
But
that.
and another thing I really like to do, if it's a movie, well, no, that's not true. I was gonna say if it's a movie I like, but I do it with movies I don't like either. I always like to watch movies twice, which I didn't do with this one. I only watched it once, but I do want to rewatch it again because I usually pick things up better the second time around and either kind of solidify my decision of whether, okay, I didn't like this film and I watch it a second time and I'm like, okay, I still didn't like the film. Or if I watch it the next time and I'm like, I have a better appreciation for it, a better understanding, and then I'm like, whoa, that was a really great film. I kind of did that with Hereditary. When I first saw it in theaters, I didn't really care for it that much. And then when I watched it again, I found like certain little hidden things and I was like, oh, that's dope. And
Mm-hmm.
then I had an appreciation for it. So, I definitely want to watch this one again because I did enjoy it, besides the CGI, which we'll get into, but
Yeah.
I definitely want to watch it again because I'm sure there's things that I missed or that I'll find that I have a different thought about or something like that.
Right, right, right. Yeah, I mean, so as the story goes on a little bit, we find out that Jack's wife, who he nicknamed Minnie, had passed away from cancer.
Hmm.
And
Lung
um,
cancer, I think.
I'm trying to remember if it was breast or lung cancer. And she was like one of the healthiest
Yeah,
people,
I think it was
picture
lung
perfect health.
cancer because they said she never smoked a
Smoked.
cigarette or something like that.
Yeah, 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 yeah. You're right, you're right, you're right. And he took a break from, being a host for a little bit to get himself together. And this cult was brought up numerous times in the film that he was supposedly involved with or knew about at least. And so that's where like I was like, oh, they're kind of like talking about Hollywood a little bit. Because let's not be naive here. I mean, look at half the shit that started to come out within the last 6 months pertaining to celebrities and things that have happened with companies like Nickelodeon, um, and P Diddy. Like, there's none of this shocks me. It's been around for a long time. Nobody has spoken about it because they've either been given hush money or they're too scared to say something.
Yeah.
But now it's finally being talked about and coming out, and these are discussions that we should have been having years ago too.
But that they actually even talked about Bohemian Grove. And I don't know if you know that I listen to a lot of conspiracy theory stuff, but Bohemian Grove, like who was it? Richard Nixon had talked about it. Um it's so Jack is supposed to be known to frequent the Grove,
Mm-hmm.
and it's an all male, I don't know necessarily, I mean, sorry, my cat is making my computer move.
You're good.
Um, it's like they go and they worship this owl statue. And there have been people who have said that they have gone in secretly. There's a really good movie that I love that is based on Bohemian Grove. It's called Conspiracy. Love that movie. It's a found footage movie. But it's supposedly all of these really high men in power and the things they do there, and they sacrifice stuff to this owl. And so I think that was cool that they brought that into this, because it's kind of, like the Harvey Weinsteins. I don't know if he went to the Grove, I don't know,
Mm-hmm.
but it's kind of showing like the bad men, or not even bad, but the men who are in power. It's like they're all part of this thing doing something to get the power.
Yeah.
So I thought that was interesting because I'm all into conspiracy stuff. So
No, I get that. I get that. I wasn't super aware of the Grove. So that was, like I said, I thought it was just something that was kind of made up, to be honest, that was just implemented into it. So that's interesting to know that it's an actual thing. Um, am I shocked? Absolutely not. He says certain phrases throughout the film too, like night owls and everything. So that's definitely another like wink wink to it now that you brought that up. And so he brings on these guests for the show. And the first gentleman, so
I'm
yeah, yeah,
looking,
yeah.
yeah, Christo. I just don't know if I'm saying it right. They brought on the psychic and medium
Medium.
Christo,
Hmm.
and then alongside him was the skeptic who used to be a magician,
Hmm.
Carmichael.
He pissed me off.
And yeah,
He was
yeah.
such a
So
dick, but the actor did really well with that character. I was like, go off, but also shut up.
go off, King, but also stop it.
Hmm. He was doing a lot. He was doing a lot. And even Jack was like, bro, shut up. Stop.
Okay, but in a way, which we'll get to, I kind of felt like I related to him a little bit, because anytime something happens, I'm like, oh, well, I can figure out a way to explain it. Not how he would, but in
Hmm.
my mind, I'm always like, there's an explanation for things. So
Right.
I was like, I kind of get where he's coming from, but also I wouldn't do it like that.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Um, but he comes out and he's like failing a little bit at first. And then he suddenly gets connected to like this spirit. And it's not a nice one at all. Um, so after so long, like he starts getting sick. And when I mean not just like your normal, like, oh, I'm puking, I don't or I don't feel good. Like he visibly starts looking like pale and sweaty and then starts vomiting black, like a
It's
like
like a
his
black
vomit is
liquid.
black. Um, if that ever happens, like if your blood is like going black or whatever's coming up is black, you're dying. So immediately go to the hospital. Um, please and thank you. Um, so eventually he gets taken in an ambulance. And what I also really thought was really cool was, excuse me, throat acid reflux now. I'm just a mess per usual. Um,
It's
what
the
also
charm
was,
of getting older.
I guess, my gosh, I don't, can I just breathe for, like, can I just breathe? Like, I can't even.
No,
Um,
no, life doesn't let you do that.
well, that's kind of fucked up and I'm tired of it. So, like,
I know,
let's get
I
it
know.
together, please. Um, so I also liked how when they went on commercial break, like you saw backstage and behind the
Hmm.
scenes, and you saw him interacting with the crew and his business partner with the show and like all those little things. And so, we come to find out like bro didn't make it. He did. And I was like,
Yeah.
oh, oh.
And a oop.
Um, and he has this really cool buddy. I'm trying to think. I'm trying to think of like not only his name but like his title working on the show.
Oh, the guy who works along with Jack.
Yeah. He's like he like introduces Jack. There's like
Gus.
the music and everything, and he's like, I guess you
Gus.
can even consider a co-host in a sense because he chimes in and was
Gus.
involved. He was really funny. I liked him. Uh, so in due time, uh, what was the other gentleman's name again? I'm so sorry. Like goddamn,
Well,
friend.
also whenever before Christo got sick, or maybe it was after, I don't know. I can't remember exactly. But he has mentioned Minnie, and then we later find out that that is what Jack called his wife,
Right, right,
Minnie,
right,
and
right, right.
nobody knew that.
Well, yeah, but
Um,
we didn't get that admitted until after he was taken off the show, I think,
yeah, yeah. I don't
because he does bring it up later. Because when we talk about this little girl and the psychologist or the psychiatrist, um, we get into that a little bit because this little girl brings her up.
and the other guy, Carmichael, the skeptic.
Carmichael, yes. So in time, though, Carmichael, he's like, oh, I can prove like, Christo over there is like full of shit. Like I can, make anybody believe anything. Just watch. And he has his buddy, well, he volunteers his buddy to let Carmichael do that. And
Gus.
so the worm, so like this guy does not like worms at all. They
Yeah.
freak him out. And so he does something to where he makes him think that he has worms all over him. They're coming out of his stomach, and then an extremely large one comes out of his like face or whatever. And
So he actually, there is a part that goes before this why he does that, but we can go back to that.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah.
but go on with the worms because
You're good, you're
I
good.
have something to say about that part.
um well, there's so much to dissect with this film. I feel like we're going to be jumping all over the place with it in general. But Jack is seeing that stuff and it's freaking him out, but it didn't actually happen that way. So whatever Carmichael did was like, whoa, um, kind of thing. Because he made, I can't remember if the audience was also able to see that stuff, but I think it was mainly just Jack. But like his buddy was like feeling it, but the things weren't actually coming out of him or anything.
Yeah, so Carmichael hypnotized Gus, Jack, June, and some of the audience members. Some of them didn't get hypnotized to see, and I think that was the part in the film that I didn't like. I think I wish that part wouldn't have been in there or at least different.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I I don't know what could have been different, and usually I have my ideas for what would have been better, but I think that kind of made it, I don't know. I didn't like that part.
Did it
But
give you a hokey
um
vibe?
yeah, yeah.
Okay.
It was just like a kind of like maybe it was the worms, maybe it was the big worm. It gave me like a Goosebumps feel, or which I love Goosebumps. Don't get me wrong, I love Goosebumps. It gave me like a Goosebumps feel, or have you seen all the VHS movies?
Mm-mm. I haven't seen all of them yet.
There's one, I can't remember which one it is, but it's also a TV show, and it was real kooky. It was like it was annoying. It was just, and that part just reminded me of it. And so yeah, but I understand why it was needed. I think I just would have done something besides the words.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Fair enough. I feel like spiders would have been more effective.
Spiders, I for sure.
That would have freaked me the fuck out because I hate spiders.
Yeah, I don't know what
Hate.
possessed them to go with worms because everybody knows that spiders would have been better.
Well, I mean, worms are nasty too. They're slimy and they're ugh, no. And if you kill those
But
bitches, they are like they're gross.
listen, if I was in a room and that happened, I would be scared, yes. But if it was spiders, I would be climbing up the wall, scared,
That's
petrified.
valid. That's 100% valid. I would have ran out. No, thank you. I'm good.
Yeah.
No, thank you.
And then traumatized for life.
Period. We've already
Period.
had that discussion of the one giving birth in my
We have.
room. That was
See, that's exactly
traumatizing.
it. That was traumatizing. That would have been perfect.
That was fucking horrible. I will never forget that. And if it ever
But yeah,
happens again, I might cry.
yeah, yeah,
I would never
yeah.
wish that on anybody. That shit was terrible. Oh,
But yeah, that was my probably my least favorite part of the film where I was like, but anyway, continue.
no, I got you. I got you. So we also end up getting introduced to June, and she has been helping this little girl who
Lily,
seems to be possessed by a demonic being. Um,
Mr. Wiggles.
Mr. Wriggles, jeez Louise. Um, Interesting name. I liked how Lily described it too, like as to why she named him Mr. Wriggles. Um, but this poor girl was like kidnapped and was going to be used for a sacrifice from this satanic cult. And I was over here like, what the fuck? Like, and I guarantee you that's happened in our lifetime. I wouldn't be shocked. I don't know how we would ever get coverage on it because people don't want to talk, but I digress. Yeah.
Yeah. And there's so she, which they did, it was kind of like I guess like, I don't want to say it was like this because I know this is different, but like the Manson cult vibes. Like I believe there was like a male leader.
Yep.
Yeah. And then like female followers and male like so I know it's not the same situation, because this one was satanic and stuff like that, but kind of the arrangement, so to say. And um she was a survivor who June rescued because they there's a mass suicide, kind of like Jim Jones
Hmm.
type cult vibes. I feel like they did a good job with incorporating different cult aspects
Yeah.
into this. Um, and she was the sole survivor um of the mass suicide. And she is supposedly possessed by this demonic Mr. Wriggles. And she's not a psychiatrist. She's like a path psychiatrist. It's something. I don't know if I can find
I'm trying to remember exactly like
parapsychologist,
parapsychologist.
parapsychologist.
Gotcha, gotcha, gotcha.
So, but I mean, she kind of like acts as a psychiatrist to
For
June.
Lily. Yeah.
Or I'm sorry,
Oh,
to Lily. Yeah.
no, 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 you're good, you're good. Well, because she basically, like, has been helping this girl try to contain it and get rid of him. Um, and she wrote a book about it and everything. And that was one of the reasons why, like, her and Lily came on the show. And the girl that played Lily, I think she was honestly one of my favorites out of the whole cast too. She was really creepy and just like just the way she would say certain things, especially when Jack's wife really started coming into the picture more and more during the discussion. And you know, when it comes to spirits and hell and heaven and possession and everything, like there are so many people that are like, no, 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 like don't do certain things, don't say certain things, blah, 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 blah. And that's what June was trying to warn Jack about, because Jack was like, well, why don't we meet Mr. Wriggles? And then we had a whole exorcist moment. And I thought the makeup for her was pretty dope. Um,
It gave very Exorcist vibes.
yes, for sure, for sure. And when we get to the part where June is talking to Mr. Wriggles, and Mr. Wriggles and or Lily, Lily didn't have, control over her body. Mr. Wriggles did by that point. And she starts saying some outlandish, crazy shit, especially for a young teenage girl. And, you know, she's like, oh, like June and Jack are like doing it, and you know, all that stuff. And I was like, oh, okay, what's happening? And June already tried to tell Jack, like, no, like we can't do this, like we shouldn't do this. It's not safe for her, for the audience, for anybody. I don't want to put her in a position when I've been, not training, but like helping her um contain this, to get rid of it, to help her get back to some type of normalcy after everything she's been through. And Jack just kept pushing it and kept pushing it, because we also find out, um the viewership's kind of shaky, it's not doing super well, but this episode in particular could change that and push that in a lot of ways. mm, I don't know by the end, but we'll get to that.
Well, this is something I also really appreciate about the film is because it shows how people are in real life, where they will do anything to get what they want. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
it goes to Jack was putting, June is saying, this is a child, like this is a bad idea, and he did not care about this girl. He cared about this girl getting him views, not her as a person, not her mental well-being,
Mm-hmm.
just her getting him his views.
Well, and
Which,
obviously, as we continue into the film, like we see that demeanor change, I feel like, in a
yeah,
silent way, because he's starting to see, like, oh, okay, June was right. Maybe we shouldn't have done this. But then he still is, and that's where it gets teeter tottery, then, in a sense, because he's also like, oh, but this is kicking up views at the same time. I don't know. Like, we have to keep pushing it, but maybe we shouldn't. So he's fighting his own so-called inner demons because he just wants to be successful. He lost his wife. He feels alone. He just there's so much to dissect with Jack alone that he didn't even have to speak to show a lot of that, I feel. Which I thought was really great. And I actually feel like there definitely was something between June and Jack. Um,
yeah, I think so. Well, because you could tell she wanted to please him, even though she knew things were wrong. It was important to her to please him.
mhm,
And so she went against her better judgment. And because she doesn't care about the views, but she cares about him.
yeah,
And so, yeah.
there was definitely more to it. Um, that I think could have been explored just a little bit more. But obviously that ain't gonna happen. Um, the June bites,
Um,
but June kind of bites the dust.
another one bites the dust. Another one
You might
bites the
as well
dust.
say that because literally once it goes, it just like boom, 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 boom. The bodies just start dropping and there's no turning back.
Let the
Um,
bodies hit the floor. Let
yeah.
the bodies hit the floor. Let the bodies hit the floor.
And what I really enjoyed about this movie as a whole is it was a slow burn for sure that had a build up and the payoff I feel like was great. And a lot of like I'm kind of picky with slow burn movies. It depends, but this movie had me. And that's why I loved it so much. Like, yeah, is there certain things that I'd probably tweak? Probably. But as a whole, I really loved the film. I loved the actors. I loved the story. And there was a lot of importance to it, more than I think people will ever know.
And for what I so there's just a few things that I think they should get. I mean, there probably would have had to be CGI for certain stuff. I think there was a lot of CGI they could have cut out. I hate CGI so much. I mean, I know certain things need it, but in horror films, it seems like it's always like so obvious in horror films. Um, but it wasn't like necessarily bad CGI. Like it
Yeah,
made sense.
I've seen
Um,
worse.
yes, I have seen worse. I think that wasn't Lily supposed to be like 12 years old or something like that?
She was either 12 or 13, I want to say.
She was really young, and I think because the girl who played her didn't look that age, she looked a little more mature. I think they just should have made the character a little older. I think that would have matched a little better. Because I wouldn't want them to change the actress because she did amazing.
Yeah.
Um, but I think they should have maybe upped the age a little because she just seemed like very she seemed like a teenager. She looked like a 70s teenager. Um, so And I don't know if she was supposed to be 12 then. Maybe she was 12 then in this. I don't remember exactly. Um, but I loved the idea. I thought it was a very clever idea. When I first saw the commercial, or I saw like a clip of it, I didn't know what it was about. So when it started, I was like, oh, this is interesting because it wasn't what I thought it was going to be.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I am always hooked when it comes to things where it's like how in the beginning they were saying they were giving his whole life story and then they were like until this night. And so like that build up, I loved that. I love that. It's something like a lot of found footage movies do, like the documentary before you see what happened to them. You
Mm-hmm.
and your light.
It's a pain in the
Um,
ass. I'm just gonna have to hold it for a minute.
yeah. So but I still like even with my little nitpicks that doesn't affect the film really.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I really, really enjoyed it. I was pleasantly surprised.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, 100%. Well, and then that's what I mean about the ending. Like everyone except for Jack, and I think like some crew and like maybe a couple audience members that were able to get out died. Because Lily like pretty much completely lost control. And the head split, her head split open. I was like, what the fuck? But um but you know, like we see Jack and he's talking to his wife, and his wife's like, just kill me. And you know, that's where it's like he wasn't in his right mind anymore. One, and two, by the time he pulled that knife out of Lily, because he ended up killing Lily, um, he drops it and he's like, what just happened? Like, oh my gosh, oh my gosh. And he starts like freaking out, but we don't see anything after that. We just know he just killed Lily. Um, and
yeah.
that was a like, oh shit kind of moment for sure.
I think too, and this might just from me being Catholic or watching like a lot of demonic movies, I think the devil in Lily took advantage of Jack and his weaknesses of like
100%.
and so kind of in a way like took over him, not like he did with Lily, but to where it's like, oh, here's your dying wife and you can take her out of her misery.
Yeah.
And joke's on you, you just killed a little girl.
Yeah. Yeah. And then June's dead, Carmichael's dead, Christo's dead. Like all of these people are they're dead. And it's like I said, I will stick with this saying of it is a slow burn with an incredible payoff, because you I don't honestly, nobody can tell me that they expected that ending. There's no way. And I think it's an ending that took a lot of people back. um I think that with this movie they took a lot of risks with certain topics, certain things that are said, situations that they're put in. And by the end, of course, as well, you're like, whoa, like, and that's why I really like the movie and have appreciation for it for everybody involved in that film. Because when you're talking about specific topics that could relate to anything, such as Hollywood, like I mentioned, it can be very hard to put that kind of material out. But again, as I've mentioned, and in my personal opinion, these are a lot of things that we should have been talking about and making awareness of decades ago. And at least we're
And
doing it now, slowly but surely. But then, I mean, you can't tell me, I mean, like, did you see the newest thing that came out about P. Diddy and his ex? And
oh,
now,
I
like,
read
all
a
of a sudden
lot about him.
they can't do anything when there's video fucking footage of him beating the shit out of her in a hotel hallway.
Well, and the thing is he has allegations about him now. He's had allegations about him in the past. He has got through things so easily, and it's disgusting. I have a flex. I've never liked him. I liked some of his music, but him as a person, I always thought there was something. Ooh,
Now it's dark.
I
What is
I
happening?
thought I thought I was going into the light. I thought God just struck me. Actually, like I thought that because I was going off on P. Diddy, I thought someone killed me and I was going into the light.
I'm just gonna hold this for the rest of the episode. It is what it is. Um,
Somebody
no,
that
dude,
knows
like
P. Diddy
I
heard me.
look at Kevin Spacey.
There's a documentary I think that's supposed to come out
I
soon
did
about
see
him.
that, and I'm definitely gonna watch it because I'm intrigued to see what the hell's in that. But like, and then you see, you've had to have seen the article where they're trying to like lift wine Harvey. I want to say it's Harvey Weinstein or one of the Weinsteins, whatever the fuck. His uh time in prison. Are you fucking kidding me? And like, and this is what I mean. This is why this industry, as much as I love it and I'm not going anywhere because I love what I do, because this is the kind of
Oh, yeah.
behavior that we're pushing. But then like, then you have people coming out like me who's openly going to say, we need to stop this kind of behavior obviously, but why are we still doing the certain things that, like, why isn't Kevin Spacey in jail? Why are we trying to get Harvey Weinstein out of jail? Why isn't P. Diddy being fucking charged for beating the shit out of his ex-girlfriend? Like, make it make sense. Like, we're all sitting here reading this shit and nothing's being done about it. And then these people are still going and working on these sets around children, around other individuals that they could clearly do the same kind of behavior again. And it's like, what isn't clicking up here? Like, why are we letting
Well,
this still happen?
it's always the excuse. Well, they did this, but they're talented. Well, they did this, but they have connections. Well, they did this, but they have money. There's always, well, but there's always something. I've gone through it myself where I've said something about not this situation, but a past situation in school. Well, but this. There's always a well but to it. And we need to stop that where it doesn't matter how much money someone has, it doesn't matter how talented they are, it doesn't matter how many connections they are. They can be a really bad person.
They are really bad people, but nobody wants to stand there and say that for some reason. They just want to keep welcoming them into spaces that should be safe, and then they're in those spaces, and like, I don't ever want to be in the presence of half of these people, and if I am, bye-bye. I will happily excuse myself from a set, a location, an event, whatever, because I refuse to work with those kinds of people, period, point blank. If you have a problem with that, you need to reevaluate some shit, because these are people that should be paying for the fucking horrible things they've done to people and children. Like, what is so complex about that? I will never understand. We can say that till we're blue in the face. Um,
Money.
but there's gotta be some type of change, or shit's just gonna keep getting worse. And it's already pretty fucking bad. And it's not just in Hollywood, it's everywhere. But it's mind-boggling to me.
Oh yeah, definitely it's definitely in Hollywood, but I mean you see it in every little stupid things that it's that way too. It's just
I'll
and
never forget this. This is kind of sidetracked. Well, no, it's not really sidetracked because we're
girl, that's
discussing
what we do at
how
Steel City Screams. We sidetrack.
well that, but also like this brings up my point of like, some of the things that we saw in this film and how, I wasn't aware of the Grove, but it's a real fucking thing where real fucking people go and do whatever. I don't want to like don't how do I want to phrase this? I don't want to know the details of what the hell's really going on in there, but like if there's shit that we also know that shouldn't be going on in there that's going on there, why are we doing it? It's the same collective phrase for everything, whether we're talking about a person, a, a place, a group, whatever. I will never forget this one story though that I saw on that, I want to say TikTok. I think it was around the pandemic. This one girl, she was, I want to say 16 or 17 years old. She was working at Walgreens and one of her coworkers was harassing her, kept wanting her to go on a date, kept asking her, kept asking her. She's like, no, no, no.
In there.
And she told management and they did nothing about it. He killed her in the fucking break room, bro. The break room. Are you kidding me? And you did nothing about it to protect her. A minor who's just trying to make money to live has a grown fucking man harassing her when she says no, not just once, but multiple times. Multiple times. Still isn't taking the fucking hint. Asks you for help and you do nothing. And then she is murdered in the break room at work. What the fuck?
Well, do you and do you remember when all of that stuff went down with Balenciaga and how they were using like kids in their campaign and using like I hope I'm not saying this wrong, but I believe it was like some like sexual innuendo. I don't know how to say the word, but
It was
like it was
basically dealing with like bondage,
yes,
like
yeah, yeah.
BDSM.
Yeah.
And it's
Um,
like,
and with like children holding, and I
no.
remember people being people saying, "Oh, if you're outraged about that, you're right wing," or something like that.
It has nothing to
These
do
are
with fucking politics. It's
children,
about protecting
nothing.
children. And
It's
this is what's
yes.
so fucked up about the world is everybody has to make it fucking political. No, it's literally about the fact that that's inappropriate for children. For children,
Hmm.
literal
Hmm.
babies. Like, what is so complex about that? Like, if that's the kind of stuff that you're into, like, that's your business. You're a grown adult by that point. We are talking about kids, children, babies that were put into these photo shoots from a multi-million dollar, if not billion-dollar company holding and wearing inappropriate things. And then you had people like Kim Kardashian, like fending for them, but then would make a post on Twitter like, I don't condone this. Blah, 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 blah. That's why you still
That
support them, though, right? Make
that
it make sense.
was such a heart because then the one lady who was a part of it had a lot of like I don't know things about like sacrifice and stuff like that. This weird. I don't understand why we're in a world where we are fighting between whether kids in that photograph, if that was appropriate or not. It's not appropriate.
Nope.
It's just, I don't understand. I got it. This would be so off topic, but there was something that I got into an argument with someone that had to do with children and said, you're right wing. And it was something that was really like where I was like, these children need to be protected. I don't
Mm-hmm.
even want to bring it up. I don't associate with this person anymore, clearly. Um, but where I was like, if my stance on protecting children is a right wing, then I don't know what to tell you. Like, we have to protect children. They are not adults. They cannot consent to a sexual activities being sexualized. They cannot consent to that.
No.
They can't consent to being exposed and, used for money. Like it just I don't even want kids. Like I've never wanted kids, but the older I get, the more I realize that we as adults need to protect children, whether
Mm-hmm.
we have them or not. Like we have to.
Well, and you know, I've heard so many celebrities in like interviews. For some reason, a lot of people like to ask celebrities, like, oh, like you're having kids. Are you going to let them work in the industry? And a majority of them are like, hell no. And if they really, really want to, they can wait till they're about 18 years old when they can make their own decisions. And if they need me, cool, cool, cool. But not until they're a little more grown and understand a lot of the things that are going on. Not that at 18 you have your full brain development and the mental capacity, but it's like, because at 24 me, I'm still continuously learning shit. But point being though is there's a lot of people that don't even want their kids in the industry, and
Mhm.
I'm glad that I didn't start as a child actor because of all the horror stories that are coming out anymore. I'm like, how did people even to this day like still continue to let this kind of shit happen? I i know it's a repetitive thing coming out of my mouth, but it's like I don't understand why a lot of this shit that is still happening. It
I
shouldn't be.
guess I guess my thing for parents, for kids who want to do child acting, if there's ever a time where they say that you can't be in the room, red flag.
Hell
I've
fucking
worked
no.
with I've worked with kids and I have encouraged the parents to be there the entire time. Not that
Mm-hmm.
they were like, "Oh, go ahead." Not like that. Every parent that I've worked with, great. But I have been fully encouragement. You can stand here, you can be here, watch everything, whatever they need, you need, whatever. Just, always make sure that nobody is saying that because you should always be able to be in your child's presence and your child in your presence. There's no reason for that, the two to be separated.
No, I agree with you. I think that is very weird. If somebody came up to a group of parents and was like, so we're going to have you guys wait in this room. We're going to take them to go do whatever they're doing on set, blah, blah. It's like, why? Like, why can't I be like in the same vicinity as my child? Like, I'm here
Hmm.
for a reason in general because they shouldn't be here by themselves, anyways. But why can't I be in the same room? Like,
Yeah.
I'm not going to be doing anything I shouldn't be doing, and I'm not going to be making noise while y'all are shooting or whatever. It's like, that's just really weird to me. Um, and like I said, that'll definitely bleed into like what happened with Quiet on Set and like people who came out and said certain things and how they how their kids were treated on set. And that's like, okay, another thing too is like, because this just popped in my brain technically since I brought up Quiet on Set. Sorry. um I can't remember the names. There was just a son, I believe he was on all that, and a mother. And the mom was speaking up to Dan, and Dan didn't like that. And then he wasn't invited back that next season. And it's like, you're talking about parents, a mother who is only speaking up for her son's safety, because he's a minor. When was that deemed too much? She's talking too much, she's making too much noise. Oh, this parent, like, no. If they are a minor, underage, cannot be on set by themselves, it is a parent's job to literally speak up for their child when there is something that shouldn't be happening, something's not safe, they got hurt, this happened, that happened, whatever. I don't like, we could talk about this till we're blue in the face, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we should do a separate episode where we can break this down a little more so we can finish off this topic. But it's just so beyond me how all of this shit continues to happen. And as much as people go to get justice, you can't. And it's disgusting. And it's like, I don't care how much money you have. So you're going to pay for your actions, consequences. That's what happens when you do shitty things to people, or you hurt someone or multiple someones. And I'm not pinpointing anybody in particular when I say that statement. That is for anybody that has physically abused someone, verbally abused someone, put a minor
Emotionally,
in
mentally.
danger. Like mm-mm, mm-mm, mm-mm. I can't. I can't. I've emphasized for my movie and how my set will run. If somebody comes up to me and says, this person made me feel uncomfortable, this is what happened, there's no discussion. I'm not tolerating that kind of behavior on my set, because if one person's uncomfortable, that means everybody's going to get uncomfortable. And that doesn't mean they're going to stop right there either. So if you come on my sets, and make this very clear for any viewers, if I hire you to work on my set and you make somebody uncomfortable, you say or do something inappropriate, you start drama, you're disrespectful, if any of that happens, we're not sitting down and having a kumbaya meeting. You're fired. Period. I'm not dealing with it. I will not tolerate that kind of behavior or actions ever, ever, ever. My top priority, even if I'm not the boss of the set, will always, always be to make sure everybody feels safe, feels taken care of, gets paid properly, gets fed properly, has the best, sleeping kind of situation, has their own space, whatever it may be. That is how I will run my set. So if you think you're going to come on my sets and try any shit, you're not. I would rather have to figure it out on my own or try to grab somebody else last minute to take your place than condone any kind of behavior like that. It will not happen in my presence, whether I'm the boss of the set or not. And I will speak out on those behaviors. And if somebody wants to fire me for it, you're enabling it. And that's disgusting. So reevaluate yourself. Think about what you're saying or doing before you do it. It's not that hard. That's all I gotta say. Welcome to my TED Talk.
People usually know when they're doing something wrong too, so it's 100%. Not. Yeah, so it's 100%. Not like, oh, I was just trying to like
around. Well, that's how you feel, but that's not how me and 10 other people feel right now. So thank you. Goodbye. I will never work with that person again. That's that. There's plenty of people out there in that industry that feel the same way with how they would want to be on a set that I just explained. Because if I'm going to want that, obviously you're going to want that too. So it's common decency, common respect. It's not rocket science. Um,
Yeah, and I mean, it doesn't
so
even have to go, it doesn't even have to be, saying something inappropriate. This is a whole nother topic, but just being respectful and nice to each other. Um, you know, Films are supposed to be, yeah, it's work, but you're supposed to have a good time, fun. You're making a art product. It's not hard to just be nice to one another. It's not.
for some people, it is, and I don't understand why it is so hard. Again, those are just people that need to reevaluate themselves. I'm sorry, you just do. If you're coming on set and bitching and moaning and causing drama and throwing attitude at people that don't need it, or it's not going your way, oh, please, please
Les.
give me a motherfucking break. Ugh. Anywho,
Oh, and in film, it'll never go your way. Something will go the other way. So,
no film set is perfect. No film set will ever be perfect. There's always going to be moments where something happens and you're like, okay, now we have to pivot. All we have to
I
do is
mean,
pivot. So let's just move on
we
and pivot.
s- we saw a perfect example. Sometimes you're filming and a girl could get possessed by the devil and everybody could get killed or hurt, but you just keep going with the show?
I think that's a completely different situation, Ashley.
Okay.
Sure.
Period.
Sure.
Period.
Uh Overall, like I said, I really enjoyed Late Night with the Devil. I will definitely be watching it again. Um love the cast. Crew did amazing. Um I think cast was amazing. Love the lead male. He's amazing.
Kind of
Um,
cute.
Period. He kind of reminds me of Pedro Pascal a little bit. Like they need to play brothers in a movie.
Oh, I see that.
They need to play brothers in a movie.
Yeah,
Period.
or like
Maybe I'll
uncle
just
and
make it happen
cousin or
because
something.
nobody's gonna listen to me. But
Oh, girl, I have so many ideas. Come on.
I have so many ideas that I just want to make. I'm like I said, after the strikes, even to this day, it's like Hollywood is moving really slow. It's very weird. It seems like there's not a lot of stuff filming. Um, Nobody's grabbing anything very much right now. And if they are, it's like very minimal. Like indie's been thriving for a little while, but even then, you still need money to make the fucking movie. So it's like, it's just crazy. So I just want to keep creating and getting more work out there and writing and directing and acting. And if that means I have to do it first, then I'm going to keep working. So that's on period. Again,
Period.
thank you for coming to my TED Talk.
You're welcome.
Crazy, crazy, crazy. But yeah, overall, great film, great cast, great story. I enjoyed it.
Do I look like the Wendy's girl?
You do.
Thanks. Continue.
That was great. Um, I highly recommend it if you haven't seen it yet. It is available right now on Shudder. Um, I'm sure it's coming out on DVD very soon. I wouldn't be shocked if it started streaming on other platforms soon, but it is on Shudder, so go check it out if you haven't seen it already. Um, yeah, Late Night with the Devil, babes.
Period.
Do you have any final thoughts?
Um, nope. Yep. I mean, like I said, there's just a few things that I didn't like, but I don't think that it necessarily affects the story, and I like the story. So, good movie. I'm glad you told me to watch it. I was going to watch it, but I'm glad you said you need to do an episode on this.
Period, period, period. I'm
Period.
glad you liked it. That makes my heart happy. I can understand your points of view on certain things for sure too. It's like CGI or AI, whatever, it's a touchy subject in itself, anyways. Because it can affect a lot of our jobs, crew and cast positions when it pertains to films. Um, so yeah, I just think overall there's a glitch in the matrix right now. Okay, there just is. There's a glitch. Um, that's all I gotta say. There's a lot of glitches happening, and those glitches need to be fixed ASAP. Thank you very much. Thank you guys for joining us on another episode of Steel City Screams. Please be, geez, Louise, I need to go back to bed. Um, please be sure to like, comment, and share. The Never Return Indiegogo is still running. Please not let the countdown fool you. We will be extending it. We have pushed filming to 2025 so we can spend more time utilizing the Indiegogo to raise more funds. I am still in talks with some people, so I'm waiting to see what is still going on with that. We will be filming a teaser trailer this fall and posting it for you guys to see what's to come for the movie. So I'm really excited about that. We have a great cast, great crew. I'm grateful for each and every one of them, and I can't wait to work with everybody. Please be sure to keep sharing the Indiegogo, talking about Never Return, asking questions if you have any. There's going to be some new perks coming really soon. Ashley's having a spaz attack with her braids. It's a fun time over here. Okay, Wednesday.
Oh wait, do I look like her?
Well, the way you just did that, you did the real Wednesday Adams. Period.
I can't do that.
We love you guys. We'll see ya next time. Goodbye, my
Good night,
angels.
angels.